Hi everybody, this is Pam with Jesus Junk Journals, and it's time for the Jesus Art Journal Challenge of the week, and the letter is O for oil. We've got the story of the widow and the oil and Elisha. So I'm gonna draw my two prompts. Let's see what I get. Add a feather. Okay. That seems pretty random. And write a thank you note to Jesus on the page. Okay. All right, well, I guess I will figure that out. Okay, so those are my two prompts. It's kind of random. And so this, I think, is going to be pretty straightforward because I plan to just fill my whole page up with bottles and even draw some more bottles. So what I'm going to do is cut everything out, and then I'll come back and we'll get started. Okay, I got my bottles cut out. Wow, that was a lot more fussy cutting than I was prepared for. So I've thought about my two prompts and the writing a thank you note to Jesus on the page. I think I'm going to write that in just regular ink, and then I'm going to go over it with some gesso and let it run and let that be my background. So it may not be readable, but Jesus will know that I wrote it. So that's my plan. So I'm going to turn the camera off and write that real quick. Okay, I have no idea how this is going to work. I'm going to, it's got gesso as a base. I'm going to just go over it with water first. I don't know if the ink will run or not. Doesn't seem like it is. So I'm going to take some gesso and let's see. See if that does anything. It may just make it fall back in the background. I really thought it would run. Okay, well, that's my background, I guess. And it might even add another coat to it. I don't want it to interfere with the art that's going to go on the page. So, all right, I'm going to let that dry, and then I will be back. Hey everybody, I'm back. I have my gesso dry. I cut my words out a little closer. I usually do them in the strips, but today I'm not going to do that because I want the most room for the oil. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this on with matte gel. I'm just going to put a good amount of that on. Right in the middle. And push it down with a paper towel like I usually do. Trying not to get too much of that stuff, but it doesn't want to stick if I don't, I guess. I don't know. And I don't want to smear the words. So I'm going to read these while they're drying. The story of the oil. Now, a woman of the wives of the sons of the prophets cried out to Elisha, saying, "Your servant, my husband, is dead, and you know that your servant feared the Lord, and the creditor has come to take my two children to be his slaves." So Elisha said to her, "What shall I do for you? Tell me, what do you have in the house?" And she said, "Your servant has nothing in the house except a jar of oil." Then he said, "Go, borrow containers elsewhere for yourself, empty containers from all your neighbors. Do not get too few." Then you shall come in and shut the door behind you and your sons and pour into all these containers, and you shall set aside what is full." So she left him and shut the door behind her and her sons. They began bringing the containers to her, and she poured the oil. When the containers were full, she said to her son, "Bring me another container." But he said to her, "There are no more containers." Then the oil stopped. So she came and told the man of God, and he said, "Go, sell the oil and pay your debt, and you and your sons can live on the rest." And that's 2 Kings 4, 1 through 7. So that's a cool story, I think. And so I'm going to go ahead and ink up the O and get that put on. And I'm going to use my blow dryer and get this dry so I can, well, actually, I don't want to do that, do I? I'm going to go ahead and start applying these bottles. As I said in the first video when I was doing the intro to this, I said I used artistic license. So obviously she probably didn't have glass jars, but it's a cool illustration of what happened. So I just went ahead and went with it. So hope nobody cares. Okay. All right, so I'm going to set that one aside and let it dry and do the small one. And let's see. I'm going to let that dry. So I've come up with an idea to use the feather. I'm going to draw a feather and I'm going to put it on a small one. And so let me see if I can do that without messing this up. Let's see. So all right, I'm going to use that as my basis for a pen. That's supposed to be a pen. And I'm going to put the scripture down here. And I was going to use a Sharpie just because I thought it would be more durable and not mess up if I get it in this matte gel that's not quite dry. I think it's dry, but you definitely don't want to use markers on it if it's not. And I also found out that this does not erase off of a gesso background like it does off of paper. I tried it once and I had to gesso it back out. And that's what you're seeing here. Okay. All right, well, so there's my arrow. I mean, not my arrow, my feather. So now I'm going to draw the containers of oil, and hopefully we'll see how that goes. All right, this is dry, I think, enough. So I'm going to go ahead and work on it, add some more jars to it. Actually, I'm going to use a Sharpie so the line's thicker. Hopefully I don't mess this up. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to try, I think I'm going to try watercolor. I'm not sure if that will stick or not. Well, you know what? I think I'm just going to use a Sharpie. All right, well, now I'm going to go to my Stabilo, which will probably be a different yellow. That's all right. Okay, so that one's done. Starting on this one. Okay, so that is The Widow and the Oil. And just as a note, you know, I started to use watercolor, and then I decided to use markers, and that even kind of got me in trouble because the marker that I did the black line in is apparently not waterproof. So it wakes back up if it gets wet. So you can see where my yellow marker touched it and it activated it again. So something to think about if you do this. Just be careful that you use a permanent black marker before you try to color it with watercolor or a marker if you can help it, because it will make a mess if you don't stay away from the black lines. Okay. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please click the like button. Think about subscribing, and we will move on to the next video. Bye-bye.